What's up guys, how's it going? Today's video is going to be a race review of the United States Pro Kart Series Round 4 at Newcastle Motorsports Park. I was going to do Round 3, which was the video I posted of my win, but there's really not that much racing action in the video. You know, I led the majority of the race. I got passed with a few laps to go, passed back, and then just defended the whole rest of the race. So I really didn't think there'd be that much for you guys to learn in that video. In this video, I start third and then fall back. So there's a lot of action of me coming back through the field and getting a good result at the end of this race. But before we get into that, let's hear about the sponsor of today's video.
The sponsor for today's video is OMP America. OMP is a company that I've trusted over the years with all of my racing gear. They always provide a quality product at a fair price. Every time I buy something from these guys, the product always lasts for years and years after the purchase. Over the past 6 years, I've actually had 2 pair of OMP shoes, and the only reason I bought a second pair was because I outgrew the first pair. That's how long their products last, and I'm super excited to be partnering with them for this video. For the video, they actually sent me a really cool pair of shoes, so thank you guys so much for that. I'm really excited to get to wear these at the SCUSA Pro Tour in a few weeks, so thank you guys so much for doing that. But now, OMP and I are going to be doing a giveaway just to thank you guys for supporting the channel. So if you want a free pair of OMP gloves, make sure to subscribe to this channel, follow OMP on their Instagram page, and then comment your Instagram username in the comments below. That's the only way I'll be able to check who actually followed OMP. I'm also going to be deciding who the winner is from the comments of this video, so make sure you do those 3 things to enter for a chance to win a free set of OMP gloves. Now, back to the video.
So starting the race in P3, there's not much to this start. I know the flag guy likes to let us accelerate pretty early, so I'm anticipating that early acceleration, hopefully get a jump on the guy in second. I just want to push the leader through. We're going into a tight right-hander, so I know, if I can hold that inside, I'll probably get a better exit off of this corner than the guy on the outside. Gets a deep lunge into there, kind of washout ride, a little rubbing right there, but come out second. I looked back a little bit. There wasn't, much space for somebody to throw it down the inside into this corner, so didn't really block. Still got some room to chase down the leader. I give a little point to the guys behind me. Throughout the day, you guys can kind of tell who's got the speed, and so you want to make sure that you get in front of the person that's the fastest that day and try and get everybody on the same page with that. That's what that little communication was me telling them, hey, let's not let this guy check out. Let's try and run him down and get in front of him so we can make this a race. He's pretty quick out the gate. He's got a good setup on to get out of these first couple laps. So really just focus on trying to run him back down, get back in front of him, and try and maybe back him up into the rest of the field. So hopefully we can, make a race out of this. The good part about this track is it's got a long straightaway, so the draft is pretty important, and there's not much you can do about it. It's very hard to just kind of check out at this field. Even with a good lead, the draft inches you forward every single lap, and with the track being over a minute long, it definitely, makes the race pretty interesting because you really can't check out. Late break into that back corner there, and now I'm on his bumper. Looking at the setup though, I'm thinking maybe he might be a gear lower than me, one tooth lower on the sprocket, because he just didn't get that great of an acceleration off the corner, and I was able to go in deeper and then still get a good acceleration off. So that's just something I'm looking, right now I want to size up the guy and see what setup he's got, where I'm going to be stronger during this race, and what advantages I have over him. Karts aren't really underneath us. Both of us are kind of sliding around, but I'm still gaining on him, so it's a good thing for me because I'm going to try and look to take the lead early here and then see if I can stretch that out and maybe pull away. I know I said it's not really possible. It's probably not going to happen, but if you can get out front and the guys start to battle behind you, you can stretch out a pretty good lead, and that would go pretty far. So right now I'm thinking, okay, I get a good run down the straightaway every lap. I'm thinking maybe I go at that first corner there at the end of the straightaway. I'm going to get a good run down the straightaway. So hopefully, I can just pull over and pass him. I'm going to set up a little wide, look for it. Didn't want to go for it just yet. He saw me coming, and so, he looked over and saw that I was there. And so I didn't really want to push it just yet. He gets a good run off of that corner. I could make a little mistake there going too much over the curb. But still, just looking to set him up. I'm not trying to show my cards too early in this race. I want to make it a race, and I want to make sure that I have something in the tank for at the end of it. I had a tendency throughout the week to kind of overdrive my go-kart early in the race and then, eat the tires up in the final. So I want to take it slow and make sure that I can just pace myself and get in front of the driver so that I can stretch it out. I know the drivers behind me though are closing, and so I want to make sure that when I pass the leader, they're gonna go with me. A lot of the time it was my teammate behind me, so there I signaled to him saying I'm gonna go down here in this left-hander. Ended up being a little too far away, so now I'm okay. I think I'll just go back down on the straightaway again. That seemed like a good place the last time. I got a good run. I'm still on his bumper off this corner, so I should be able to go down there. I look back and signal to my teammate that I'm going to go in this corner, so I'm hoping he's going to go with me. Throws a little block there and tries to pinch me down, but I had the line, so there's not much he could do about it. Now I'm just out front, and so I didn't have to block off that corner. I felt like I got a pretty good exit off the corner, but once you're out front at this track, it's about hitting your marks, just like it is at any race. The big thing here is it's such a big track, so any mistake you make is hard to make up. So just try and get out there, make as few mistakes as I can, and just try and put in some good, solid laps. Something, though, that I did notice, before we started the race is I'm talking to my teammates, and we all kind of had a different strategy on tire pressure and who was going to go higher and who was going to go lower. So I'm definitely thinking about, I was on the lowest tire pressure of our tent, and so I'm definitely, trying to understand where my teammates are going to start coming in. I know there's one that was fast right behind me early on in the race, and so I know he's going to probably push up to me here soon, and I'm just want to be aware of all the things, try and take in as much information as possible before the race, just so that you know your situation going into the race. So I know my teammate's closing on me. I'm looking back and I can see that he's got a lot of speed. Again, it goes down to that tire pressure difference early on in the race. I knew that I was lower than him and he's going to be pretty quick. I hear him out of this corner, assuming he's going to go here in the Monza, and he did. It was a good spot for him. He came out really fast, and I think this is where I made a mistake this race. I started defending pretty hard because I knew he was on the highest pressures of our tent. And so I started defending because I figured if I could stay in this position, I would be able to close that gap up in the end of the race. I figured that because the lead is so hard to check out, that if I could defend and keep the drivers behind me, I could make up the gap in the end and race. But unfortunately, I ended up racing pretty hard with the driver right here, and then that gap gets pretty big. And what this is doing is just stacking up all the drivers behind me and putting me in a pretty bad position, because not only am I not faster than these guys, I just went offline racing somebody else. So I have quite a bit of just, marbles on my tires, and so I don't really have the best grip right now. That lead for first is huge now, and now I'm, in a position where I can't really block down the straightaway because, it's so long, and everybody's stacked up behind me. And so there I lose 2 positions off of this corner. He points the finger, think a little bit, and I thought it would be all right, but when the tire pressures weren't what I thought they were going to be, and were a little low, and I didn't have the cart to stay in front of these guys, it ended up making the situation worse for me. And now I am still sliding off all these corners, and I'm going to get passed again right there. Hannah was behind me for a few corners, and I could see that she was coming. She's had speed all week as well. So this is somebody that I'm looking at and going, okay, maybe I don't have to pass her back initially. The previous day, she was a driver that ran me down and caught me. She was the one that made it a race for us. And so I'm looking at her and going, okay, I can just hook up with her, stay behind her for these next couple laps. Right there, she pulls me off the corner, but stay behind her and maybe just kind of follow her back through the field. I know she's got speed. My cart's not in the best spot right now, but if I can hook up with her and just kind of work my way through the field, I know I can pick up a few positions. But she's quite a bit faster than me. She just pulled away. I'm still dealing with, getting offline creates a lot of problems with the tires, especially these tires that we're running. It seems to take, almost a lap to get the tires cleaned off completely before you can start moving forward again. You see there, I went in deep into that first corner, was able to close up a lot, and every braking zone here, going into the hairpin here, picking up a lot of time just in the braking zone. So my tires are starting to clean off, and I'm having that grip to go back and race. But like I said, that was probably not the best decision, because not only did I lose a lot of spots, I'm way further away from the leader, and my race is not in a great spot. It's going to take a lot for me to catch back up through. Luckily, they're racing in front of me here. Not much to do in that situation. The corners are pretty tight in this section of the racetrack. She's going to go to the inside there. Looked with it as well, but I didn't really have the speed. they're all wanting to work together because, again, like I said, it makes a big deal when you pass around this track because of how much time you lose. Right there, I go to the inside, and so that was me just trying to make up some of the time and stop the momentum of me going backwards. Unfortunately, though, I just get passed right back. He didn't want to wait behind me, and so this is something that I'm looking at. He's wanting to work together and go forward. He doesn't want to work with me. He thinks that he just lost the spot and I was passing him at that time, so he's trying to get back in front of me and, and start getting his momentum going forward. The unfortunate part is now I'm stuck behind him and he's not that quick. The drivers are definitely pulling away pretty fast. You can see there his cart's starting to step out in the center of the corner. Right here, I'm having to lift, in the center of those flat out corners just not to run over him. Going into here, I'm able to keep the cart a lot tighter. And so I'm looking at this and going, okay, I wanted to work with him. I was going to let it slide and, just follow in behind him. But right now I'm losing too much time. I'm just running him over in the center of every corner. And so I need to go back in front of him. I'm just going to look in that same corner again. It worked out the last time. He knows I'm coming there. So I'll do it again. And I'll probably signal him on the straightaway and just tell him, like, hey, let's go. I've got more speed. I can run these guys down and make this a race for us and hopefully, advance us up a few positions. And right here, obviously, everybody's just trying to run down the leader. And so for the next couple laps, I think they just kind of push until they catch the leader. And so I'll skip to that part and we'll go from there. So a few laps have gone by. Those two drivers in second and third actually caught the leader and passed him. And like I said early in the video, I knew he was on a higher tire pressure and I knew he'd fall off hard towards the end of the race. And right here you can see that he doesn't have the same speed that he had in the beginning of it. Key defense here, it was really close right there because I set up a pass pretty early, and then with his little last second defense, it definitely made it hairy going into that corner. But no contact, luckily, and there wasn't really any mistakes that were made, so kept it clean. And now I'm just trying to focus, run down those leaders, and hopefully, I can still have a chance at this race win. It was a mistake early on, to race that hard, and so this has all been like kind of a fight to get back towards the front. Again, I'm looking at Hannah and I'm understanding that she had that speed earlier this week, and she's had that speed all throughout, the pre-finals and qualifying. And so I'm looking and going, okay, maybe she can run down the leader. Hopefully they block in these next couple laps and they get into some kind of racing action, and I'll be able to close that gap. Unfortunately, though, as I'm looking at it and she's not really closing it, it looks like she actually lost time on the leader in the last couple corners. And so that's not a great sign because I was really relying on her to, close that gap for me and, kind of bring the leader into me. But I'm still, there's a few laps left, so I'm still, holding out some hope. I've got the speed to run down the leader, which was, the most kind of depressing part is because that mistake I made early shuffled me back so far. It really kind of ruined the race because I had quite a bit of speed and I felt that I had enough speed in the end to run with the leader and race for the win. But you can see here she still doesn't have the speed to close that gap. It looks like her tire pressure must have fallen off. And that you see a lot, and a lot of drivers are starting the race in a little further back position. You push really hard to catch up to the guys, and in the end you just run out of tires in the last 2-3 laps of the race. And it looks like that's happened. It looked like she probably was pushing really hard to close that gap initially, and you can see she just doesn't have that center of the corner grip that the leader and I have at this point, and that's what's making the big difference. I think we're getting to around 3 to go, and so I really want to try and get in front of her as soon as possible. She's looking back, and I know she knows that she doesn't have the speed to run with the leader at this point, and so I'm going, okay, I got to get in front of her because as soon as it goes 2 to go, she's going to block, throw it in late there, and then made the pass. Luckily, the driver behind me went with me as well, and so that kind of gave me a little breathing room. And at this point, I didn't have to block. I didn't really have anything to do other than try and run down the leader. But I think the next time we come by, it's 2 to go anyways, and I don't have enough time to really catch the leader and do anything with this race. So I ended up second. It's not a bad way to finish the race considering how far back I was initially, but it's always upsetting knowing you had the speed to race for the win, and then obviously, a mistake you make early in the race is what really ends up costing you quite a bit of time. Luckily, I was still able to finish second, which made me the points total winner for the weekend, which was a nice way to end the weekend. But again, it's always upsetting when you make a mistake early in the race that you just have to deal with throughout the entire race. And you understand that as soon as it was made, you're like, okay, that probably ruined my race. You still got to have that same intensity, though, when you make those mistakes to try and drive back through it. You can't give up on any race because you never know what can happen. If Hannah would have caught the leader and made it a race, I might have had a shot at that. All it takes is a few corners around this racetrack to really slow some drivers up, and I would have been right on them and competing for the win. Unfortunately, that didn't happen, and I finished second. But definitely a good weekend overall for the team and for our points championship. Definitely feeling a lot more confident for the rest of the season, and hopefully there's some more good racing action that I can show with you guys. Again, thank you guys so much for watching these videos. I really appreciate all the comments that you guys are leaving. In this comment section, let me know what you guys think I should have done in that situation. You know, the leader got in front of me and I started defending. What should I have done instead? What would have been the smarter move for me to make so that I didn't fall back so far during the race? Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps me out knowing that you guys are supporting these videos. Also, follow me on my Instagram and on my Facebook. That's where you get any updates on my racing career. Once again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you at the next one.